What's up, fellow sim racers? Today I'm going to show you how to make an external rear view camera with radar and add it to your sim rig. Before I do, I have to give a shout out to the Wheelfeel on Instagram. He's actually the one that developed this system. He actually has a whole ecosystem of dashboards and radar and all kinds of stuff. So I'll leave a link in the description to his ecosystem, and then I'll also leave a link in the description to the version that I'm using, because it's modified a little bit to work for this and to show the rear view camera and stuff like that. His system shows side-to-side radar as well, but it shuts off the rear radar when that is running. So I didn't want that because I have side radar on LED eyebrows as well as my wheel. So I just wanted this to strictly be a rear view camera with the radar system, so I could see my rear view better. There's really only a couple of reasons that you would want to do this. One, my reason was my on-screen rear view camera is kind of blocked in my rig. I've got a lot of stuff in my rig, all kinds of extra peripherals. I have a fully built dash, which you'll see in just a minute. Extra screens, button boxes, nets, all kinds of stuff. So although the on-screen rear view camera is visible, it's not really all that visible to me. So I wanted a way to make it more visible, bring it up into a location that I could actually see it and work with it there. So that's one use case. Second use case is if you just want a little more immersion. Taking something from your 2D space and bringing it into your 3D space is going to create a deeper level of immersion. It's why we add like dashboards and lap timers and flag displays and things like that to our rigs. So this is kind of the same way. So if you were to set this up in a way that it blocked the view of the on-screen one and just brought it into your 3D space, it would create a more immersive experience. And that might be why you want to do that. Otherwise, there's not a whole lot of reason to dig into this. If you can see your rear view camera just fine and you're happy with it, this really isn't going to be for you. But if you're an immersion nerd like me, let's get into the tutorial. You're going to need 4 things in order to get this done. The first being a free HDMI port on your PC. If you don't have a free HDMI port, you can pretty much just stop the video here. Second is going to be an HDMI monitor or HDMI screen. It cannot be a USB style screen like the Vocor screens we typically use for our dashes and lap timers and stuff like that. It must be HDMI. I picked this one up on Amazon. It was 70 bucks. It's a little 5-inch screen. You can get whatever size you want. Next 2 things are going to be software. You need SimHub and you need OBS. SimHub is going to be what runs the actual radar system itself, and then OBS is what's going to allow you to project the on-screen rear view camera onto your external camera. So before I jump into the rig and start showing exactly how to set this up, I'm going to go ahead and clip in a little video of this thing in action. Okay, let's dive into how we're going to do this. You're going to want to have OBS Studio and SimHub both open. And for SimHub, you will want to have the dash that you're going to use already installed. If you don't know how to do that or don't know what I'm talking about, there's already a bunch of great videos on YouTube on how to do that, so I'm not going to dive into it. So let's go over to OBS Studio. What we're going to be doing is setting up a new scene for the car that we're creating. As you can see here, I already have 3 scenes for 3 different cars. So let's go ahead and add a scene using that plus sign there. And you're going to want to call it whatever car you're setting up. So I'm going to do the Ferrari 296 since I have not done that car yet. Hit OK. Now you want to add 2 sources on the Sources tab here. First is going to be a display capture. And just hit OK. You do not want to use an existing one. And then hit OK again. Then you want to add a browser source. So click on Browser. And
once you've already done this for one car, you actually can use the add existing and just use the one you've already set up. But since I want to show you guys how to do this, I'm going to create a new one and name it Radar 2. I recommend that you call it something like Radar and then go ahead and hit OK. Now you need to paste a URL into here, and you can get that URL from SimHub. So you go to More on the dash that you want to use and hit Copy OBS browser address to clipboard. Come back over to OBS, paste it in place. Then you will want to set your width and height based on the screen that you have. For me, I know it's 850 by 480. And then just hit OK. And there you go. So that brings your SimHub dashboard into OBS. Now we want to resize it so it fills the whole screen. Then the next step is going to be to launch the game that you're going to use. For me, it's iRacing, so I'm going to jump into a test drive. And we will let that load up. Once your game of choice is loaded up, you will want to make sure the ignition is turned on, or at least that your rear view camera is on and visible. Then you will want to hit Alt-Tab on your keyboard to bring OBS back up. Now obviously this is not the mirror that we want to use, so we need to move this around. So click on Display Capture, and we're going to try to find the rear view camera. There it is, but it's way too small, so we need to size this up quite a bit. You want this to kind of fill this whole area. So let me move this here, and then size that, and then we'll probably need to do that again, but let's see how that looks. Okay, so we're close, but it definitely still needs to be larger. So let's make that bigger. See how that looks. Basically, I want the left to right to fill the whole thing, and it still could be a little bit bigger. Let's try that. Yeah, there we go. That looks good. Alright, so the last step to making this work, obviously you can see here that this screen is still showing my background from my desktop. So all you're going to do is go off to the edge somewhere in your OBS and right click and then hit full screen projector preview, and you're going to select the HDMI screen that you have set up. This NV surround is my triples. This is the little screen, and there you go. You're good to go. Now in the pits, the arrow doesn't show, and it doesn't show anything else because there's nobody on track with me right now. But when you're on track, as you saw earlier, it'll show that arrow, and that will be relative. The way that arrow looks is relative to how far or how close someone is to you. On the right side here, you have distance in seconds, and this will actually show multiple cars at a time. How far they are from you, 0 to 3 seconds, and then on the other side, it's by distance, 0 to 50 meters. Once you have all that set up, if you have a Stream Deck, this is where you would want to add a scene button to your Stream Deck. Right here on my Stream Deck, you can see, you probably can't read it, but I have the Porsche, the McLaren, and the Mustang, and then other blank spaces. So all I would do, let's exit iRacing. So I want to open my Stream Deck software. And what you want to do is make sure you have the OBS Studio plugin downloaded. Go to the page with your cars. And all you need to do is grab your scene button, move it onto one of the buttons, and select whatever scene you're going to use. Now, mine is not showing the Ferrari that I just set up because I'm also using another instance of OBS to create this recording. But you would just select whatever car, and then that's it. Then you can just close out of this, and the next time you load up for a race or a test drive or whatever, in order to get the positioning of your camera to be correct here, all you would have to do is click one of the buttons for the car that you're using, and you're good to go. So I'm going to select the Porsche. I'm going to show one last little trick for iRacing users specifically. But if you're not using iRacing, that's pretty much it. That's all you need to do. You're all done. For iRacing users, I kind of want to just show what I've done. The Porsche is the only car I've set this up with, but you can actually make the HUD elements show up on this screen as well. All you're going to do is just hit Alt-K and drag those elements around till they show where you want them to on your screen. It basically just ends up looking like a pop-up. I've pretty much tried to remove all the little flags and all the pop-ups and everything like that iRacing shows during a race, since I have flag indicators and whatnot. I don't want those showing. But there are certain messages, like if you get a slowdown or something like that for an off-track, that you definitely want to see. So what I've actually done is brought those into view, so that way when I'm driving, if I get a slowdown, it'll just look like a pop-up that says, hey, you need to slow down for 1.5 seconds or whatever. So I'll go ahead and show you what that looks like once this finishes its loading. Once I turn on my ignition, you can see there that I've got my rearview camera and then I've got my notifications there. So that's it. If anyone has any questions, just leave a comment and I'll do the best I can to help out. Thanks for watching. See you on track.